What's happening, YouTubers? Welcome back for another episode of TORCHMATE Designs. Be sure to like and subscribe. Smash that like button. Leave a comment. Tell your friends. Put it on Twitter. Put it on the Instagrams. Put it on Facebook. Do all those things that affect the algorithm so that I can get my $1 billion. All right. So today, what I want to do is have you guys design a custom logo. So I only have a few parameters, and they'll be in the instructions for you. But basically, we're going to make a box, and should be around 10 inches by about 5 inches. If you need to adjust this a little bit based on, oh, did I get that one? No, I missed the 5 there. Let's unlock the proportional scaling and go to 5. Still didn't get it. Got to push enter. There we go. Okay, so somewhere around this size, but really up to you. If your name or whatever you want to put down here, it doesn't have to be your name. I'm going to use my last name. If you want to put some custom thing down here, if you want to make this for a local business or for a friend or a parent, whatever. If you want to put anything in there, as long as it's got some text in it, we're going to be good. Okay. So this is the opposite of what we did for the nameplate, where we welded our name to the top with the weld tools over here. This time we're going to cut our name out the inside, so negative space, positive space, right? That's how I refer to them, as negative and positive space. So let's get a text box, and we'll make some text here. And I'm going to go, I think this time with this Toma Bold. I've been using that a little bit. So that one, again, you can use any font you want. I'm going to write Faye in all caps, just like so. Okay. Click off of it to accept, and then I'm just going to scale it by grabbing the corner right here and just changing the scale that way, just so that it looks about right. I want to get my show fill off, so Alt S is the hot key for that, or I can just type the show fill here, and then I'm going to move this to there. And remember, if we want it centered, we can highlight both of them, and we can put C and E. E centers the height, C centers the right to left. But sometimes it doesn't quite look right, just because like the Y, even though that distance matches that distance, it still looks like it's kind of to the left to me. So I might actually highlight that and just use the arrow key to kind of bump it over, just to make it look more proportional, because your eye sees this edge and my eye sees this edge. But again, it's up to you. This is going to be your custom logo, so not a ton of parameters for you. Okay, so let's get the show fill back on. Alt S. Now you'll notice that we just have that piece of metal there. So in order to get those to know that they're hooked up together, we're going to go to Arrange, Make Path. And it's going to give me this message that the group of text, you cannot make path of text objects. So we have to use the text to graphics from the Arrange menu, and then make a path as the resulting of the resultant objects. Okay, so it's still treating the text as text. Let me alt test this thing real quick. So there is a way to get that text to not be text. You highlight it, and then you go right here to text to graphics. Okay, when you click that button, now this becomes these are now individual graphics. Okay, but while I'm at it, well, let's go ahead and see what that does. Let's see if that works. So I'll highlight that, and then we'll go up here to Arrange, Make Path, and that should have fixed our problem. Okay, now you paying attention here, you see an issue, right? The issue is that this piece right here cannot float, because if this is the metal, this will be a hole, this will be a hole, that piece is gone. So really, that piece would not be there. So I want to link that together with the bar. Now, a couple different ways to go about this. I think the easiest way probably is to just draw a random shape here, or a random rectangle here that I think is going to be about wide enough. So like I said before, we want at least 1/8 of an inch wide. This one's 3/8, so that's plenty. What if we make it a quarter? 0.25. Yeah, that'll work. That'll hold that for sure. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the show fill off, and I'm going to move this guy up here and rotate it. Give that a little rotate like so that it lines up. somewhere in that range, and then kind of scoot it over this way a little bit. Okay. Now, if we do the show fill, we'll see that that would hold that thing in there. So let's highlight this piece as well as, hold the shift key, that piece, and let's weld them. Do a basic weld there. Okay, now that's going to hold that, but I want to clean it up a little bit. I don't like the way that this looks right here, so I'm going to give it a double click, and it'll tell me that I'm going to lose the instant replay. We don't care about that. All right, now what I'm going to do is I don't like the way that these little nubs right here stick out. So what I'm actually going to do is just delete all of them and draw a box around all of those. And that should just make this line straight when I delete it. And in fact, it did. Looks pretty good. I also think this got a little bit curvy for me. So I think I'm going to add a, let's see, let's delete these. And yeah, like that. A little more squared off, kind of matches the top a little bit better. Apply that. Not bad. Still a little curvy. It's not too bad. I think we could make it work, but let's delete these. Delete these. See how these lines kind of straighten out when you delete node points like that, right? And what I could do here, oh, I guess I can't, that one's not a polygon. I can't make it a squared, but it'll be okay for now. I think that, like I say, sometimes when you zoom in really tight on something like this, it's going to drive you nuts because it looks curved and whatever. When you think about the fact that you're looking at this piece right here is 1/4 of an inch, so that's less than an eighth, which means that torch, or maybe it's about an eighth, but that torch isn't going to have that much precision anyway. And when you back up, take a step back and look at it, then it'll be okay, right? It's kind of like every vehicle I drive. You know, from 20 feet away they look okay. You get up close to them and they're kind of beat up. But anyway, I'm not going to any car shows, so it doesn't matter. All right. Got this part. This looks good. Before I do anything else, I'm going to save as. Hit the save as button and navigate to make sure that I'm in my Metal 2 folder or whatever folder you're watching this video for. But I think most of you will be in Metal 2 at this point. Okay, and then I'm going to title it as number 7 custom logo. So I already have one saved there because I've already done this once, but I'm just going to steal that name and hit save. And it's going to say, do you want to replace it? And I'm going to say yes. Okay. So what we're going to do now is stick a logo on top of it. So we have the text. Now we're going to stick a logo on top. So what I have done is I've gone over here to the interweb, and I just Google searched for welding logo. And I like this one. I think this one came up. This one will be okay. So when you're picking out something to bring in to the TORCHMATE, any custom logos, we did the tiger logo already, but now we're going to start getting random custom logos. You got to be cautious of stuff like this with tons of colors. The TORCHMATE actually does a pretty good job of finding the colors and converting them, but it can run into issues if you have like a photograph like this one here. It might have trouble getting all these different gradients of oranges and yellows and things like that. So it will actually import a photograph, but some things are just harder to get it to translate. So I'm going to look for, like I said, I think this one right here is going to look pretty good. Plus it's got this nice flat surface that I think is going to look nice on top of my rectangle that I drew. So if I just want to steal this image, I can just right click on here and go save image as, and I'm going to navigate back to my P drive so that I can keep everything organized. Okay. And I'm going to go to my Metal 2 folder and I'm going to save it in there. You don't necessarily have to put it in that folder, but I like to, whenever I'm working with an image in a file, I like to keep it in the same folder. That way I know where it is. If I need to re-import it or if I need to modify it in any way or whatever, I've got it. I know where everything is. You stay organized. If you start saving to the desktop and to random locations, you get stuff saved all over the place, and it gets hard to control your file management. So this one's welder. Oops, got a caps lock key on there, welder. and I'm going to say image, another image. Okay, and then now I can go jump back to my TORCHMATE, and we've got it saved. We see 7TF custom logo, and we're going to go up here and do the acquire image and go to the scan trace wizard, just like we did before with the tiger logo. So grab that one and we'll go next. And we're going to browse the computer next. And now we're going to hit these dots and navigate to our P drive. And again, this is why I just like to make sure you have this, saved to the appropriate location. Metal 2, welder image, open, and next. Okay, now if your image doesn't show up here, it's probably because it's the wrong kind of image. It can't read, the TORCHMATE can't read every type of image. I think it struggles with like PNG files, if I remember right. JPEGs are better, bitmaps are great. So you might have to do a little bit of manipulation if there's a logo that you really, really want that you can't get it to work. You can always ask me and I'll help you. Okay, see what we can come up with. Or you can find a new logo, either way. But so I'm going to bump this one down just to get rid of the grayscale. And again, you just kind of, probably with this one, because these little sunbursts welding arc there is probably going to melt off. So a little more black than white is probably better on this situation. Just a little more to this little more less white threshold there. Okay, we'll hit next. And we're just going to leave all this default and see what happens. We can always retrace it if we don't like it, hit apply. And this actually looks pretty good. So I got my auto scan up here. It looks pretty decent. This logo down here is so small that it's losing, but that's okay because we're going to delete that anyway. So finish. I like it. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is, first thing I'm going to do is maybe bring it up here and scale it up a little bit. Again, I'm just going to grab the corner and kind of scale it. I want to go even a little bit bigger. That's not bad. Maybe just change it a little more after. But so it's one thing right now, right? When it comes in, it comes in as a one unit. You see the nub points are these 9 here, and so what we want to do is break that path. So arrange, break path, so that we can edit all these other parts of it. So now everything's individual. So I'm going to delete. I'm going to highlight all this with a box around it and delete it. Okay. Now let's see. Let's take this guy now. Let's put it back to. Let's make it a path again. So we'll make path. So now it's treating that back as a path again. If I didn't do that, I'll go ahead and break it and show you. If I didn't make it a path, then as you can see, like each one of these individual things is something on its own. So I still, if I wanted this kind of simpler logo, I could just steal that part and put it over there, but I think I want to keep all that detail. So I'm going to highlight it all and leave it as make path. Okay. Now, I'm going to weld this with the weld tools to the top of my other logo here. So I think I'll put that like this. And your logo up here should just be proportional to your sign here, right? You can fiddle with that as needed, but like I said, this one doesn't have a ton of design parameters. It's kind of up to you. So I do have a little bit of this tail hanging off here, so maybe I'll move it just a little more that way. Yeah, that looks pretty good. That'll be fine. So what I'm gonna do now is highlight all of it, because right now this is still an object and this is still an object. I need to weld those together. So I'll highlight all of it, and I'm going to hit the basic weld tool. Okay, now it's one object. So now what we need to do is look through and find problematic areas. So areas that might not actually cut out very well. Okay. One thing I noticed right here, that little tiny bit right there, the torch is just going to come over there and just pop the plasma, and it's just going to look weird. So I'm going to delete that one. There's a couple different ways to go about it. I could break the path and delete that piece, but what I think is almost just as easy, let's get the show fill off, is to actually just double click on it and you'll get the nodes. It'll tell you you're going to lose instant replay again. So we'll get these nodes. So then I can just draw a box around those nodes and delete all those nodes. I think that's a pretty easy way to do it. So that's a way to kind of fix up some of these areas that we think might not cut out very well. Here's another one. This little sliver right here is so thin that I think it's probably going to melt off. To be honest, I think a lot of this arc is going to melt off too. But really, I think all it'll do is it'll cut out to here, and then like maybe the second half or the second third will melt off, and the rest of these points will still look like okay. So I think these I'm going to leave and just see how they come out when I cut it out. But this part right here on the lens is so thin that I think it could potentially be an issue for me. It might melt there. So what I'm going to do there is double click this one, and I'm actually just going to delete that node. We got kind of extra nodes there, and I'm going to highlight this one and hold shift to get that one. Now, if I grab this right here, this curves like this, which I don't really want to do. I want to leave it straight. But if I move the cursor around, you'll see if I get like on the node, it should pop up to the little crosshairs. So the little hand is what's going to allow me to make the curves, the bulge. And then if I move this down to the pencil, that wants to do editing stuff. But if I get the crosshairs, that's actually going to allow me to just move this. So I can kind of grab it there and move it around. So I'm just going to scoot it over like this and just give myself a little more space. Remember, when we're zoomed in like this, if you look from here to here is 1 inch. So is that about 1/8 of it? It's close. Maybe a little less, but we'll see how it looks. Let's apply that. That's definitely going to be better, I think. Another thing I don't like in this particular image, and see, if you guys are doing your own custom logos, you're going to have to kind of take a look at these yourself, but I don't like that this is all wide open, because that means all the weight of this whole helmet and stuff is supported by this little piece of metal and this metal over here. So I think what I'm going to do is just like we did before, I'm going to weld something right there. So I'm going to just get a rectangle, fairly narrow one. That one's 0.09. Let's make it at least 0.1. And even that's going to be touchy, but we'll see what happens. Maybe we need to scale this thing up. But so what I'll do is move that like that, just kind of get some angle on there, and then move it over here like so. And it's okay that it doesn't look real good right now, because what I'm going to do is edit the nodes after I weld it. So I'm going to hold shift to select them both. I'm going to do a basic weld. And now I can double click. And this is where if I want to just delete those, I can. Okay. I think this one too, oops, I deleted that one. So, and I think I'm going to move this up a little bit too, just kind of give it a little more look there. Okay. And then this one, you know, I think I'm just going to delete that one. Make that line straight. That looks okay. See what it looks like. Apply and Alt S. Okay, not bad. This area right here, there's really no reason to leave that point just like that. I could either shorten this and make that space a little bigger, or I could weld something there. I think this little detail down here I'm also going to delete. Let me show you the other way I would do this. Is if I highlight the whole thing and I said arrange, break path. So this is the other way of doing it without the nodes. Alt S to get the show fill off. Now that's its own thing, and I can just delete it. So depending on what it is, we can just do that. So we're done. We got to put it all back together and make it a path again. And then let's Alt S. If we don't make it a path and you Alt S, it looks like this. right? So it's a solid object. So Alt S like this. This is why you have to use the Alt S or the show fill so that you know what you actually have set up. Because right now this is just the one piece of metal. So so if we put it all back together, uh, Alt S there, highlight it all, then we go make path. Okay, and I think I don't know. I might do some more work to some detail down here, but we're gonna call that good for now. I don't know why this guy has a little wave on the back of his head there. Little surfer bra in there. Yeah, bra, get barreled. Whoopah! Sick. Okay, so anyways, sorry, I digress. We're gonna I'm gonna fix that because that's driving me nuts now. We gotta get the barrel guy out of here. Delete all that jazz. And yeah, that looks more better in my mind. If you like the little rip curl wave storm slasher head curl guy, you can leave it. But you're not actually going to probably use this logo. I'd recommend you don't. I'd recommend you make your own because that's custom and trick. If you steal mine, that's just kind of lame and you're doing what I did and that's boring. So I do like, yeah, it's fine. I like it. I think we're good. So now we got to go over it kind of with a fine tooth comb and just decide, let's see. So we got to think about this in terms of metal. So metal, all metal. This guy right here is going to be a hole. That'll be fine. We'll come in, pierce, cut the hole out, pierce here, cut that hole out, pierce here, cut this hole out. I need to make that a little thicker, but even if that melts off, it's not going to hurt anything. This will be a hole right here. This section here will be a hole. All good. This section here, pierce, drive in, cut that around the outside. All good. Cut here, cut that out. That's a hole. This is a hole. This is a hole. Yeah, we don't have any floating objects. We're checking to see if we have, if there was some piece of metal right here, like that type of thing wouldn't work, right? Because that's just in itself floating out there. If there was like a logo or another piece of, so we got to make sure everything is linked together. You guys are going to find some images, you're going to import them, and then you're going to realize, well, I can't, this is, if I cut out this hole right here, how's that piece going to stay there? So then you'd have to either figure out how you want to deal with that piece, kind of like we did with the A down here, right? So you get the idea. You got negative space and positive space. So can't have pieces floating. You could, if you were going to put a backing behind this, like a piece of wood or another piece of metal, and you were going to like either epoxy them or tack weld them from the backside or something like that. But that's a little more advanced for down the road. Right now, we're just trying to make a single sign that we can cut out in one piece of metal and have. So like that piece right there, we just need to delete, and so that's where we'll be. Okay. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with for this one. Should be fun to see what kind of logos and what you guys design, and you have some freedom on this one. So be creative, right? Don't just copy exactly what I did here. You guys are welcome to change the designs a little bit. All I'm requiring is some sort of logo that's like positive space, and then some sort of logo attached to the bottom that has font in a negative space. Okay. If you have any questions, let me know. Don't forget, like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.